Hey there, it's Joe Sonical Disruptive. How are you? I am tired for whatever reason. I feel like I don't have much energy, but I have to get this video done. I wanted to bring a lot of high energy to this special episode. I wanted to have a big audience and wear tuxedos and give away special awards and all of that for this episode, but apparently that's not happening, so I'm just going to do a quick rundown from my hotel room right now, and probably not even very enthusiastic because I'm just, boom, I'm dead. So, with that being said, great year for music though. I already gave a whole list of my honorable mentions, and I'm sure right after doing this there'll be albums that I forgot about. Also, there are a few albums this year that I haven't heard, so if I haven't heard it, it's not going to be on my list, right? So if I miss something, put it in the comments so I know to check it out, because, well, a lot of you have really great musical tastes and turned me on to a lot of really awesome stuff. So, yeah, let me know. Anyway, top 25. Number 25 is 12-Foot Ninja Vengeance. This album is so much fun. This goes from Hall & Oates to Meshuggah. It's kind of Faith No More on steroids. It's just these abrupt changes, different things thrown in, but it's just fun. And it has a really strong, cheesy 80s vibe that I really enjoy on this album. Very cool. Number 24, Evergrey, Escape the Phoenix. If you know Evergrey, you know what to expect. They are always so consistent, and this album is dark, it's beautiful, and great vocals, great songwriting, and some really phenomenal guitar solos all the way through this. Number 23, Swallow the Sun, Moonflowers. This is an album that I think would be higher if I listened to it more. This came out fairly late, and I haven't gotten around to listen to it a bunch. But I think it's a riser, and if I did this, in another couple months, this probably would be higher up on the list. Number 22 is Odium Gatherum Origins. This is a cool album. I really enjoy the style here. It is, your extreme metal stuff, but there's a lot of other elements thrown in there, and there's some symphonic elements as well. It's really cool and interesting. I love that album. Number 21 is an album that I thought would be much higher on my list, but it's an album, for whatever reason, I haven't gone back too much. When it came out, I loved it. It is Gojira Fortitude. Very strong album. Some great songs. I just haven't felt the need to go back to listen to it a bunch, and I don't know why. Number 20 is actually an album that I listed in my honorable mention episode, but I was going back and looking at it, and I said to myself, yeah, this has to be on the top 25 list. Ends up at number 20, Jason Bieler and the Baron von Bieler Orchestra, Songs for the Apocalypse. It's the only album that you will hear like that this year or any year. It's just original. It is its own thing. Beautiful harmonies, great melodies, great songwriting, and just keeps you on your toes. Interesting. The album covers so many styles. Love that album. So number 19 is Belakor Coherence. This is another one of those albums that came up fairly late and would probably rise up if I listened to it more. But they are so good at coming up with these brutal riffs and introducing great melody in with the brutality. I love this thing they do. It's just dark, but it's so beautiful at the same time. I enjoy that band quite a lot. 18, Whitechapel. Whitechapel's a band that I wasn't a huge fan of. They're fine from what I heard, but it wasn't a band that I had to listen to. This album I have to listen to. This album is so good. I really love the direction they're going. I love the more melodic aspect they're throwing in here, and the guy's clean singing is very enjoyable. I like it. Number 17 is maybe along the same lines as that. It's Khemmis Deceiver. Khemmis Deceiver is just a really strong, consistent album. A great musical statement. Beautiful in every sense of the word. Great album. Number 16 is one that I think many people don't know this band. The band is Turbulence. The album is Frontal. Great progressive metal. The guitar player is phenomenal. He's tasty. His tone is killer. The singer can sing anything. They can play anything. Just pure talent and really strong songs. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, check them out. Turbulence. Great band. Number 15, Carcass Torn Arteries. This is brutal and fun. Yeah, all at the same time. So catchy and yet so brutal, and it's just a great listen straight through. Number 14, another band that I don't think a lot of people know about. It's more like a project. It's two people. I think the guitar player and vocalist is, I don't know their names. I think he's from South America. The other guy is the bassist, and he produced it. He's mainly a producer now. He used to be the bassist in Haken. And this album is so deep. Did I even say? I didn't even say who it was. It is Athemon, and it's their self-titled debut. And yeah, it is very deep, very dark, very different. A very artsy style of progressive, melodic, death metal-ish type of a thing. But beautiful. So good. Lyrics are great. It is just it's an experience to listen to. Number 13, another really under the radar one, the Absense and Coffinized. A death metal band, thrash death metal, very thrashy death metal band from Florida. And this album was killer. It's my favorite death metal album of the year. And I know there's been a bunch, but this flew way under the radar. And I think it is better than anything by any of the big names out there in years. It is so good. The guitar riffs are just killer, and there's a lot of great guitar solos. The dude's voice does what it should, just a nice growl, and it's really strong and really memorable. You remember these songs long after you're done listening to them. That's something that you don't always do, I think, in the death metal genre. There's a lot of, or melodic death metal genre, I think this would be more akin to, but there's not a lot that you remember afterwards. Well, you're listening to it, you're banging your head, and when it's done, it's like, what was that? This album does not have that feel at all. Number 12, this is a funny one because this one was way lower on my list. When it first came out, I was disappointed. I went back to it within the last few weeks, and I'm not sure why I was disappointed, because the album is Spiritbox, Eternal Blue. It is an album that I really love right now. When it came out, like I said, for some reason I was disappointed. For some reason I thought it wasn't as good as some of their earlier material. And some of their earlier material I still like a little bit better, but I think I was being unfair to it because my expectations were sky high for this album. And it's just really good, though. It's beautiful. It is very much like their older stuff. It may be a teeny bit more direct and maybe a teeny bit more commercial, but not really, not much at all. It's a great album. And Sunkiller is just gorgeous. Beautiful opener. Love that song and love this album. Number 11 is Converge and Chelsea with Blood Wolf. I'll try that again. Converge and Chelsea Wolf, Blood Moon 1. This takes the different styles, melds them together, and creates a whole new genre. This is absolutely beautiful. It's one of those albums that when you keep going back to it, you're going to find something new with every spin. There's a lot going on, and yet there's a lot of space and breadth to the songs as well. Really interesting and really damn cool. Number 10 is Cynic Ascension Code. What can I say? It's Cynic. It sounds like Cynic. Even with all of their losses, it is still beautiful. It's not going to capture you on the first listen. If it captures you on the first listen, congratulations. You're probably a genius. But it takes work. It takes effort. It takes concentrated listening. You have to put headphones on. You have to listen to it to try to decode anything from this. But if you take the time, man, this thing is absolutely beautiful. Number 9. Now, this was brought to my attention by a comment. Hippotraktor Meridian. Never heard of this band, and I love it. It is so interesting, so cool, so strong. The songs are really damn good, and everything about this is phenomenal. My only complaint is it's short. I think it was like 7 songs, under 40 minutes, I think. Maybe like 36 or something like that. Other than that, though, what you get is amazing. Speaking of amazing, Iotune, Access All Worlds at number 8. This thing is... How
can less be more? It's impossible.
Yeah.
More is more.
Yeah. More is more. Well, more is more. Sometimes it's not, but here it is. They throw everything at you, and the music is just incredible. Out of this world. Takes you into another dimension. It truly does. It transports you into something else that you're not even familiar with. Damn good and damn strong. Number 7, Onto Others' Strength. This is really good. This you can listen to over and over and over again. They do such a phenomenal job of blending in, I would say, like a classic traditional heavy metal style in with a gothic rock thing mixed with some new wave 80s. Really interesting, but they own it. It's so them. You listen to it and you know immediately who it is. It's so identifiable and catchy as hell. Great album. Number 6, speaking of catchy as hell, and anthemic, it's Soen Imperial. This thing just... The songs are so strong. The melodies are so great. The choruses are huge. It is a beautiful album. Speaking of beautiful albums, and speaking of something we talked about before, and that is very under the radar bands and albums, Shumaun, Memories and Intuition. This thing is incredible. It's an incredible album. It spans so many different stylistic areas. At its heart, it's progressive metal, but they go into pop territory. You got on this, you have a Fate's Warning vibe. Sometimes you might even get a Tears for Fears vibe. It's all over the place, but the playing, the musicianship here, and the vocals are so damn good. It's infectious. I love this album. Number 4 is Mastodon, Hushed and Grim. This is an album that probably should be number 1, maybe, but it's at number 4 because they do such a good job at what they're trying to do, which is to press the living shit out of you, and they do that very well. If you want any sense of happiness in your life, you can't listen to this every day. You just can't do it. It is so emotional and so heavy, but it's so beautiful. the whole thing. I've heard other people say that the second half loses them, and I don't agree with that at all. I love the second half as much as the first. Yeah, maybe more. I love the entire album, and it's long, and I'm glad it's long because it's all good. Number 3, this one surprised the hell out of me. I didn't know this band at all. I got this probably a month or so before it was released, and I haven't stopped listening to it. I can't. It's my default. If I get into the car and I don't have anything specific that I need to listen to, this is what I'm listening to. It's Mol Diorama. Oh man, it's so good. It's so in your face. It's so direct. It's so dynamic in those ways. It's a short album. It's like 37 minutes or something, but the time just flies by because these songs, every song on here is great. Every song on here is memorable. They stick in your head, and but it's intense from start to finish. You don't get a chance to really breathe. Maybe there's a few opportunities to breathe, but not many. Great album. Brings me to number 2. Number 2, I think we could go with
this isn't your average everyday darkness.
Because this is truly advanced darkness. Rivers of Nihil, the work. Why this isn't number 1 is because number 1 has a very special place. This has a special place too, but I think I was more emotionally attached to number 1 than this. But if anything was fair in life, this would be number 1. This is incredible. An incredible body of work, an incredible and cohesive musical statement, as beautiful as it gets, as dark as it gets, as entertaining and interesting as it gets. Just always pushing, experimenting, and what they came up with here is jaw-dropping, phenomenal. Number 1 is a tie. It's Dua Lipa and kidding. Jesus, I couldn't name you a Dua Lipa song. I'm surprised I even know the name. So no, that's not it. But like I said, there's a tie. Vola Witness. This is an album that came out fairly early, and it's one that I said as soon as I heard it, yeah, this is going to be hard not to be the album of the year. It's its own universe. Everything, it's not a concept album per se, but everything sounds extremely cohesive. The songwriting is phenomenal. Just great songs. And it almost doesn't matter what your musical taste is. This thing is just, I mean, a great song is a great song, and this has a whole album full of great songs. Future Bird, Inside the Fur, Napalm, just everything on here is absolutely incredible. It's an album you have to hear. I love it. I do. And tied with Vola is another album that as soon as I heard it, I'm like, well, this will probably be very high up on the list. It is Leprous Aphelion. A lot of people are not crazy about this album, and I understand they're not as heavy as they once were. This is more commercial and has a poppier thing than their earlier albums. True, there's no denying that, but this is just beautiful. The songwriting is incredible here, and it is so dynamic. Every song ends up in a very different place from where it starts. You can have a lot of slow builds, but then you have a lot of really intense moments where it just jumps off and out of your speakers. It's incredible. So, yeah. And what is it? It is Shadowside. The ending. It's probably the best minute of music in the last 10 years. It is There's horns and strings here that just bring these songs to life and give it so much energy. Absolutely phenomenal, killer, beautiful, and that is my list. What's your list? Let me know. Let me know what I missed. Let me know what I should be listening to. And thank you very much for watching. And have a great new year.